My wife cheated on me. I destroyed her in divorce court. Looking back now, the signs were always there. I just chose to ignore them because I trusted her. We had been married for 8 years, and I thought we had the kind of relationship that would last forever. My wife worked as a marketing coordinator for a local nonprofit, and I was a high school history teacher. Nothing glamorous, but we were comfortable and happy. Her phone started bothering me at first. She used to leave it lying around everywhere, never caring if I saw her messages or notifications. But about 6 months ago, that changed. Suddenly, her phone was face down, tucked in her purse, and locked with the passcode. Then her schedule got weird too. She started having more evening meetings, weekend events, and volunteer commitments. Nothing that screamed red flag, honestly. Her organization was growing, and she seemed genuinely excited about the new responsibilities. But the timing felt wrong. These new commitments always seemed to come up at the last minute, and she became vague about the details when I asked. On top of that, she started caring way more about how she looked when she left the house. She said she wanted to look more professional at work. I began paying closer attention to small details. One evening, I decided to drive by her office after she said she would be working late. The parking lot was completely empty. Her car was nowhere to be seen. I sat there for 20 minutes, feeling a little concerned and confused. When she came home at nearly 10 that night, I asked how the late meeting went. She described it in perfect detail, mentioned specific coworkers by name, even complained about the terrible coffee they served. Either she was an incredible liar or I was losing my mind. I started questioning everything. Was I being paranoid? Were these just normal changes that happen in long marriages? Maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was looking for issues where none existed. But I knew in my gut that something had changed. The woman I married would have never been secretive about anything. She used to tell me every detail of her day, sometimes to the point where I would gently tease her about it. Now, getting basic information felt like pulling teeth. I decided I needed proof before I could confront her about anything. I could not just accuse her based on paranoia and gut feelings. That would make me look insane and probably destroy us if I was wrong. So I became more observant and started making mental notes as well as recording them in my phone. My phone became my best friend over the next few weeks. Every time she left the house, I logged it. Every excuse she gave, I wrote it down. What I found made my stomach turn. She was out way more than I realized, all for different reasons that never quite made sense. The volunteer work excuse got used twice, but when I asked about it later, she got confused about which group she was helping. Sometimes her stories checked out though, which made me feel crazy. I started checking her car when she got home. The miles on her car were all over the place. A grocery store trip that should have been quick showed way more miles than it should have. But then other trips seemed normal, which messed with my head. Maybe I was just losing it. I started taking pictures of her odometer, but half the time I forgot or the numbers were blurry. What I had was confusing, but it was not enough to confront her. One night, she said she was meeting some client for dinner about a donation. Big meeting, could not miss it, might be home late. I waited a bit after she left, then drove to the restaurant. I sat there for about an hour, feeling like an idiot. Her car was not there, but maybe I missed it somehow. When she came home that night, I asked how dinner went. She told me about the meal, complained about the client being pushy, mentioned some dessert. I had no proof she was lying, but my gut said otherwise. How many times has she done this? She was also taking these long showers after being out. Used to be she would just crash on the couch in her work clothes. Now she was showering at like 10 at night, saying she felt gross from running around all day. Her phone thing got worse too. I mean, her behavior towards her phone felt like she was panicking if I went near it. Now it followed her everywhere, even just to get water. I decided to try something. One night when she said she was working late, I called her office. The person who answered said everyone had left already. When I asked for my wife, she said she was not sure who that was. I gave her full name and department. The woman said she was new and the building was pretty much empty. That night, my wife came home talking about her tough project. She even had papers with her to prove it, but I had called. I knew she was not there. The stories were getting more complicated. I was living with someone I did not know anymore. The person sitting across from me looked like my wife, but everything else was wrong. I needed to find out who he was. That became my only focus for the next 2 weeks. Every time she left, I tried following her, but it never worked out. Lost her in traffic twice, got stuck at red lights. Once, I almost rear-ended someone because I was watching her car. This was not working. I decided to try a different approach. Her car had to go somewhere when she was lying about her location. So I started driving around after she left, checking parking lots and side streets. Our town was not that big. There were only so many places she could be. I hit the shopping centers first, then restaurants, then random neighborhoods. Most of the time I found nothing. But on my fourth attempt, I spotted her car parked behind a small coffee shop. I had driven past this place 100 times and never noticed it. Tucked away in a strip mall, kind of hidden from the main road. I parked across the street and waited. About an hour later, she came out, but she was not alone. A man walked out with her, tall guy, probably mid-30s, wearing a nice shirt and khakis. They did not hug or hold hands, but they stood close while talking. He walked her to her car, opened the driver door for her, and she smiled at him before getting in. I had not seen her smile like that in forever. I followed him to his car after she left. Silver sedan, nothing fancy, but clean and well maintained. I wrote down his license plate number, but realized I had no way to trace it. I needed a different approach. The next time I saw them together, I followed him when he left. He drove to an office building and parked in the back. I waited and watched him go inside. The building had a directory by the entrance. After he was gone, I walked over and checked it out. Several businesses were listed, but one was a marketing firm on the third floor. Given what my wife did for work, that seemed like the obvious connection. I looked him up online. His social media was mostly private, but I could see he worked for a marketing firm, the same type of work my wife did. That explained how they met, probably some conference or networking event. I spent the next few days learning his routine. He lived in an apartment complex, drove to work around 8 in the morning, came home around 6. Pretty normal life for a guy who was destroying mine. I wanted to confront him, but I was not sure what that would accomplish. What was I going to say? Stop sleeping with my wife? He probably did not even know she was married. She probably told him some story about being separated or divorced. That would be just like her. Instead, I focused on gathering more evidence. I started taking pictures when I spotted them together, always from a distance, always careful not to be seen. They met at that coffee shop 3 more times over the next week. Once, they went to a park and sat on a bench talking. Another time, they walked around a small lake. This was not just some fling. They looked like they had been together for a while. Made me sick. I looked at his social media again more closely. Found an old post from about 6 months ago at some marketing conference. Right around when my wife started acting weird. That was probably where it started. All this time, she had been lying to me. I had what I needed now. Names, places, pictures, timeline, everything a divorce lawyer would want. But I was not ready to blow everything up yet. I wanted to see how far she would push this, how long she would keep lying to me. Maybe she could come clean on her own, but I doubt it. She was in too deep now. I caught them a few weeks later. She told me she was working late again, some big project deadline. Same story as always. I decided to drive by that coffee shop just to see if they were there. Her car was in the parking lot. But this time, I got out and walked closer to the windows. They were sitting at a corner table, holding hands across from each other. He was stroking her thumb with his finger. She was laughing at something he said. Then he leaned over and kissed her. I stood there watching my wife kiss another man through a coffee shop window. I could not move for a minute. My hands were shaking when I took the picture. I got back in my car and drove home. When she walked in 3 hours later, I was sitting in the living room waiting. She came over and kissed me like nothing had happened. Started talking about her stressful day at work, how demanding her boss was being. I just nodded and listened to her lie. The next morning, I looked up divorce lawyers online, found one with decent reviews, and called. Got an appointment that same afternoon. Her name was Janet. I brought my phone with all the pictures and my notes. She looked through everything while I told her what happened. When I finished, she said I had enough proof, asked what I wanted to do. I told her I wanted to file for divorce. No more chances, no trying to work it out. I was done. She went over the basics with me. We had some savings, owned a house, no kids, so that helped. She said we could file based on the cheating. I signed the papers that day. The lawyer said my wife would be served papers within the next few days. I went home and acted normal, made dinner, watched TV, went to bed. She had no idea what was coming. The next evening, she got another call from her mysterious work project. Had to go handle something urgent. Would not be long. I let her go without saying anything. 2 days later, the process server showed up at her office. She called me 15 minutes after being served. Her voice was different, panicked. She said there had been some mistake, that she was coming home right away. I told her I would be here. When she walked through the door, she was holding the divorce papers. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking. She asked what this was about. I pulled out my phone and showed her the picture of her kissing him at the coffee shop. She stared at the screen for a long time without saying anything. Then she started crying. She tried to explain, said it was not what it looked like, that they were just friends, that the kiss did not mean anything. I showed her more pictures, them holding hands at the park, them walking together by the lake, him opening her car door. She stopped trying to deny it, asked me how long I had known. I told her about the months of watching her lie to me, about checking her car, following her around town, about finding his name and where he worked. She looked shocked that I had put it all together, like she thought I was too stupid to figure it out. She begged me to reconsider, said she would end it immediately, that it was just a mistake, that she still loved me. I told her it was too late for that. The papers were filed, and I was moving forward with the divorce. She asked if we could at least try counseling. I said no. She had been lying to me for months. Every day, every conversation, every time she came home from being with him, there was nothing left to save. She spent the next hour trying to convince me to change my mind, but I was done listening. I had decided the day I saw her kiss him. The rest was just getting the lawyers involved. Update. The divorce took about 7 months. My wife tried to fight it at first. Her lawyer wanted to try mediation, but mine said no. She moved out 2 weeks after being served, went to stay with a friend while looking for an apartment. I kept the house since I could afford to maintain it on my own. She wanted half the house's value, but the cheating messed that up. The judge did not like what she had done. Her affair partner dumped her about a month later. She tried to get back together with me after that, showed up at the house crying, saying she screwed up. I told her to leave, but what happened at court was rough. My lawyer showed all the photos and notes I had taken. She sat there while we went through everything. Her lawyer did not have much to say. But remember, I got the house, most of our savings, and kept my retirement money. She got her car and about 30% of everything else. After it was over, she tried to talk to me outside, said she was sorry, that she never wanted this to happen. I walked away, heard from friends that she moved back to her hometown. got some job there. Her affair partner started dating someone else pretty quickly. My life got better after she moved out. No more wondering where she was. No more checking her car or following her around. I started cautiously dating again about 8 months later. Nothing serious yet, but it feels normal. Maybe I should have confronted her sooner, but having all the evidence helped in court. Some people think I was too harsh. They said I should have tried counseling first, but she had been lying for months, coming home from being with him and acting normal. I could not get past that. The lying was the worst part. Every single day she lied to me. I am better off now. The house is quieter, but peaceful. No more stress. No more wondering what she was really doing. Just my life the way I want it.